Even after Nikki Haley made the spineless decision to endorse Donald Trump at the RNC following her failed bid for the Republican nomination for president, the relationship between the two of them is still pretty rocky. Donald Trump hasn't utilized Nikki Haley as a campaign surrogate. She has so much time, in fact, that she started her own nonsense podcast. And it's not that she isn't just not out on the campaign trail for Donald Trump, but former Nikki Haley supporters and staffers are banding together and created an organization to mobilize Republican voters to defeat Donald Trump and to support Kamala Harris. And that's driving Donald Trump crazy because no matter what, even though Nikki Haley is kind of supporting Donald Trump, she always finds a way to take a little jab at him in whatever speaking appearance that she's giving and on her podcast. And we saw that recently when Nikki Haley was speaking at Georgetown University and said something about Donald Trump that I think will really set him off, absolutely stabbing him in the back. And we're going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button and join the community that we are building on this channel. It really goes a long way in supporting the work that we're doing. Now let's get into this first clip of a student asking Nikki Haley about January 6th, and I want to check that out.
I respect that you preferred President Trump's policies, but after January 6th, you said of President Trump, he went down a path he shouldn't have, and we shouldn't have followed him, and we can't let that ever happen again. Since then, he has both continued to deny he lost the 2020 election and refused to accept the 2024 outcome if he loses. So my question is, why is the path that President Trump is currently going down any different than the path he took in 2020?
First of all, I stand by everything I've said. I don't take anything back. When I tell you something, I mean it. I say it. It's what happened. I think he's wrong to say that that the election was stolen. You had multiple courts look at it. No one found proof of it. I have always said that. I think he lost the election. And I think going into this next election, if anything, we want Americans to feel like they know what they're going to get. My biggest concern is that we won't have the results on Election Day. And I want every single state, I don't care whether you're red or you're blue, you owe it to the American people to give them the results on Election Day. That's part of what America needs. And a lot of states made some corrections on what they need to do that. But we've got to get that because that's about trust in an election, is being able to do that. But look, I think it's not helpful for him to talk about, whether he thinks the election was stolen. The country has moved on for that. And I think it's important for him to say, get out and vote. We need you to get out and vote.
Before we get into what Nikki Haley had to say, I first want to commend that student who appears to be a Republican, saying that they broke with Donald Trump after January 6th, knowing that his attack on our democracy was unconscionable and completely disqualifying him of ever serving in public office again. But getting at what Nikki Haley had to say, blaming election results, how quickly they come in, being the biggest reason why there's doubt sowed about the results of our elections is complete and utter nonsense, especially when it's only Republican states trying to slow the counting of ballots to help Donald Trump and make sure that he can attack the results of our elections. So how is it the media's fault, but not Donald Trump, who claims that elections were stolen? The cognitive dissonance there is just really sad to see from Nikki Haley as she tries to defend Donald Trump, but she didn't in this moment right here that I want to check out, absolutely stabbing him in the back. Let's take a look.
During your most recent campaign for president, you remarked, quote, "In politics, the herd mentality is enormously strong. A lot of Republican politicians have surrendered to it. Of course, many of the same politicians who now publicly embrace Trump privately dread him. They know what a disaster he has been and will continue to be for our party. They're just too afraid to say it out loud," end quote. Now that you have suspended your campaign, you have frequently downplayed his impact on your party and has even gone so far as to offer yourself as a surrogate for his campaign. My question to you is this: would it be fair to categorize you as one of the many politicians who privately dread him, who know what a disaster he has been and will continue to be for your party, and are you just too afraid to say it out loud?
So, thank you for that question, Matt. What I have said since the election, since what happened, I said everything that I said on the campaign trail, I stand by. I said it because I believed it. I said it because I was telling the truth to everyone. Since then, people have voted. I'm a voter now.
She did say the most important thing, which is she stands by everything she said about Donald Trump during her run for the Republican nomination. Now, if she actually stood by that, which she clearly doesn't, because all she cares about is her own political aspirations, and so she can't fully come out against Donald Trump. But if what she was saying was true, which I do think it kind of is, then she believes he is unfit. She believes he is too old. She believes he is deranged. She believes that he is dangerous. So why not say it, Nikki Haley? Why not say it if you actually care about protecting democracy, if you actually believe the things you said about Donald Trump, and you're not just a political opportunist willing to do anything and be completely spineless, why not protect democracy and support Kamala Harris? Why not? And again, the reason is she's spineless. But thankfully, there are some non-spineless former Republicans, one of which has a great organization, and I want to check out their new ad. It's George Conway, and it's the Anti-Psychopath Pack. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm George Conway. There's been a lot of talk about whether there's a DEI candidate in this year's presidential election. I'm here to tell you that there is. His name is Donald Trump. Trump is deranged.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a lovely man.
Trump is egomaniacal.
I could have been sunbathing on the beach. You have never seen a body so beautiful. One of the great memories of all time. Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
And Trump is incompetent.
And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do, either through the skin or in some other way. My administration has accomplished more than any administration in the history of our country.
Don't vote for the DEI candidate. Don't vote for Donald Trump. And by the way, according to his own sister, Donald Trump actually paid someone to take his college entrance exams for him.
I am glad that we have actual good former Republicans like George Conway, who I'm sure have policy differences with Vice President Kamala Harris. But as we always say, the most important policy is democracy. How are we going to be able to debate issues if we can't debate because we have a dictator, Donald Trump? We can't do that. And especially with this current iteration of the MAGA movement, we see it especially in the MAGA majority in the House. They don't want to solve problems, just like Donald Trump with the border. They only want to complain. So these people who claim to only care about policy also don't actually care if things don't get solved. So what do you care about, Nikki Haley? Again, her own political opportunity, her own career, that's all she cares about. Incredibly disappointing. Good to see her calling out Donald Trump in the small instances that she does. I do like to see that. I just wish there was more. And I wish there was more heart. And I wish there was a bit of spine, but apparently not. And Nikki Haley, someone who has spent so much time in foreign policy, should especially care now about these recent revelations of Donald Trump's relationship in and outside of the White House with Vladimir Putin, with Kamala, which Kamala Harris called out so perfectly right here.
Donald Trump has this desire to be a dictator. He admires strong men, and he gets played by them because he thinks that they're his friends.
Yeah.
And they are manipulating him full time and manipulating him by flattery.
Yeah.
And with favor. And so in the midst, to your point, as reported by Bob Woodward, in the height of the pandemic, and remember, and your listeners will remember, people were dying by the hundreds.
Yeah.
Everybody was scrambling to get these kits, the tests, the COVID test kits.
Couldn't get them.
Couldn't get them.
Right.
Couldn't get them anywhere.
Right.
And this guy who is president of the United States is sending them to Russia, to a murderous dictator for his personal use?
Donald Trump is a wannabe dictator. Donald Trump is a wannabe strongman. He tries to project strength being a bully, but we know he is just insecure. But he looks up to a Putin or an Orban because he wants to rule with an iron fist. He wants complete loyalty from all of his stooges, and that is what Project 2025 is about. It's not just the horrible policies that Donald Trump wants to put in place as he attacks our government. No, it's about the loyalists that Donald Trump wants to surround himself with. And that should terrify us, especially in national security, especially for Nikki Haley, and especially in light of the recent reporting from Bob Woodward about the conversations that happened with Donald Trump in and outside of the White House with Vladimir Putin. That should terrify us. Trump looks up to Putin. He looks up to Orban. Like I said, he wants to be like these people, and he's willing to do anything to make them like him, because he is not a strong man. He is an insecure child. And so that should especially terrify someone like Nikki Haley if Donald Trump were to become president again and give Putin whatever he wants, act as his political puppet, act as his political pet. And the fact that she's just not calling that out shows how little courage she has. Sure, she'll take a shot at him once in a while, as we saw in this video, but not standing up and rebuking him directly is shameful. It's sad, and it shows her lack of courage. But we have to continue to call out the danger that Donald Trump is on the world stage, not just domestically, but globally, every single day. We're going to do it on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.